All righty, here we go. Another night learning some calculus. It's great to be with you guys. I'm always curious where people are from. I'm from Indiana, which is, I've come to love it, but it's not the coolest place ever. So feel free to drop in the chat where you're coming from, what state. Had somebody from Australia last time, which was kind of fun. So they were self-studying AP calculus. Got an Illinois out there. Great job. Not far from Musa. Musa's a teacher I know up in Minnesota. I'm going to go ahead and put a calculus question on the screen for about 30 seconds or so, and then we'll just kind of give you guys some exposure to these tough questions your kids have to deal with. So here we go. Again, drop in the chat where you're from. I'd love to know what state you're living in and how what brought you to the call. So again, I'll share more in a moment why we're here, what you will get away from it. But I'm not going to have you guys do this question, but this is just wordy. A lot of kids aren't ready for the wordiness of calculus. They're like, why am I writing sentences? I should be doing math, not writing sentences. So I'll actually share this in another assessment in the chat in a moment because I want to make sure that if you show up to something like this, that you get, benefit from it, that it's valuable and, your guys' time is valuable to me. So yeah, this question is tough. This is from the Unit 1 exam, a former exam I gave a couple years ago. So my students hated this question, but I'll go ahead and get started here. So really, I just have a couple goals tonight. One, I want to make sure you understand the difference between Calc AB and Calc BC. After that, again, I really want to just like push a bunch of resources towards you, free ones that are really helpful that I encourage any student to really take advantage of. And then at the end, I'll kind of share some tips for the kids to do well in calculus that I tell my own high school students that I wish they would listen to me, but they're teenagers and sometimes they think they know everything, but that's okay. So I only got one person, guys. Come on. Thank you, Omkar from Illinois. Nobody else told me where you guys are from. So, all righty. So main difference between Calc AB and Calc BC. Okay. So I always like to show this. Okay. And essentially we got another one. Bay Area, love it. So we want to make sure we understand what's the difference between AB and BC. Okay. If a kid passes the AB exam, okay, they will get Calculus 1 credit at most schools. Can't speak for all schools, but most schools, they'll get credit for Calc 1. If they pass the BC exam, they would likely get credit for Calc 1 and Calc 2, and then they could start in Calc 3. Now, some schools make you retake calculus, so, look into that about what kind of school you want. And a lot of schools want the kids to go through their calculus track, like Purdue, not far from me. Shout out Purdue alum. They really want kids to take calculus at Purdue. They don't love when kids really test out a bunch of calculus. So just kind of keep that in mind as your kids are working through this anyway. Minnesota, Texas, love that. Okay, awesome. So now people don't believe me when I say that AB and BC are very similar. And this document is trying to show you guys that the first 8 units are overlapping. Okay, the main difference is that there's 2 extra units, Unit 9 and Unit 10. Now, they're not completely identical, Units 1 through 8, but they're pretty similar. And I think Flipped Math does a really good job of showing you how similar these are. And this will be our first resource that I will drop in the chat for you to make sure that you have something helpful leaving this call. And so this website, again, I cannot shout out these people, these teachers enough. They are phenomenal, organized, aligned with College Board. It's just really a great website. And so on this website, it has Calc AB and BC there together, and the BC topics are in red. Okay. Now notice Unit 1, there's no red topics unless I highlight it. Okay. There's nothing that says BC topic. Same thing for Unit 2, nothing red. Same thing for 3, 4, 5. The red only starts in Chapter 6. And there's only 3 that are different. 7, there's only 2. 8, there's only 1. So again, those first 8 units, they're not completely identical, but the first 5 are pretty much the same. And you can't control what any teacher is going to do, right? Some teachers go super deep into some random calculus topic, but for the most part, if someone's following the College Board curriculum, which if they're not, that's an issue probably. Those first 8 units are pretty much the same. Units 9 and 10, honestly, 9 isn't too bad. 10 is awful. It takes me back to Purdue, and I just like these words are just oh my gosh. I just remember sitting in the math helper room at Purdue and just looking at this and not understanding. And so I didn't really understand this honestly until I became a teacher, went through a lot of training and learned how to teach calculus. There was so many like aha moments when I was forced to actually teach this stuff. Okay. And so when we moral of the story, okay, is that units 1 through 8 are pretty much identical. The main difference is those extra 2 units, unit 9 and 10. Okay, with 10 being pretty rough. Okay. Now, again, I put that link in the chat. If you don't do anything else today, click that link. Okay, it'll take you to this page. It'll give your kid a bunch of reviews. It'll give your kid a bunch of videos, and it's just super organized. Video, notes, practice solutions, extra practice. Like you just can't. I can't believe it's free. I don't know. These guys are awesome. Maybe I think they do some tutoring, but it's just a really nice resource. So click that link again. If you didn't do anything, I'll even redrop it for the people that are just coming in. Click that link if you don't do anything else tonight. All righty. Now, again, I'm trying to share what I give my own kids. Okay. And so what I would also recommend, okay, is my mentor teacher. He was the first person that ever trained me. That got me really excited to teach calculus. Just one of those like presenters that you just like really admire from afar. And so go into his channel right now, Tony Records. So similarly to flipped math, he's just got a ton of resources for calculus. Okay, so I'm going to make sure to put this in the chat as well. Great teacher, super great mentor, been really helpful to me as have found my footing in calculus and trying to help kids do well. This guy's just phenomenal. Can't speak highly enough about Mr. Record and how he invests in teachers, and he's a College Board consultant, AP grader, and just really helped me in that process of becoming an AP grader myself, learning how College Board really wants to test kids. And again, your kid can learn a ton of calculus with Mr. Record as well as the flipped math guys. So again, if you haven't done that yet, please click those 2 links in the chat, bookmark them, send them to your kid, send them to your kid's friend. I am a free resource like scavenger. I love free stuff. And so make sure you guys get that stuff. Okay. Now, the next thing that I really wanted to share about was making sure that your kid is doing the right things to be successful. Okay. So your kid is going to have access to AP Classroom, and they should be using that as much as possible. Okay. So make sure you're asking your kid if they are signed up for AP Classroom, enrolled, things like that, because they can really gain so much just from AP Classroom. Okay. Um, so again, if you haven't heard me say anything tonight, Flip to Math, Tony Record YouTube, and then AP Classroom, your kid can do well with those three things, which is phenomenal. Okay. Now, that's kind of the main thing I wanted to share. Again, as like an additional bonus, I'm going to share a Unit 1 limit exam from a long time ago. Okay. And so this is several years old now. But this will say chapter 2 because the first chapter in this textbook was pre-calculus, like a comprehensive review, which you should probably ask your student, is their first test going to be over all of pre-calculus, or is their first test going to be over Unit 1 limits? Because a lot of teachers, it's kind of a toss-up, honestly, between both. My mentor teacher, shout out Coach Tip, was very adamant that the first test should be over pre-calculus. So we would actually give this exam, finding the range, that is not a calculus topic, that is pre-calculus. Okay. Finding domain, that is a pre-calculus topic. And so our first exam was, how do you remember pre-calculus? Can you do the pre-calculus skills? And I was actually on a call with somebody the other day that failed this test. And now they're like, I just failed the pre-calc test. How am I going to do calculus? And so making sure your kid is aware of that first exam and what they're going to take is super important. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share this old test in the chat as well. Hopefully it lets me. Oh, give me a second. Got to go back to the source. Again, I can't stress enough the importance of trying these tests. Okay, very important, making sure that you guys are doing those, because it's best for a kid to make those mistakes before they take the real test at school. And by the way, everything I'm sharing is not like rocket science, like it's just basic strategies for your kid to do well. Any student I work with, I always tell them, you should do at least one, probably two of my old exams, because if you get a 60% with me, we talk about it, we fix it. The likelihood of you doing worse on the exam at school is probably going to go down quite a bit. Okay. You're probably going to do better that second time around, because when you see a question, not the exact one, because I never want to like give the same test questions, right? I'm not trying to make people cheat. But if you see a question like this, okay, which if a parent knows the answer to this question, feel free to put A, B, C, D, or E. I would love to know if anybody knows that. When you do a question like this and you mess it up and you say D, which is wrong, don't say D, okay? When they see this question on their real exam at school, they might be reminded, okay, of what the answer should have been. So again, the hope is that they would make that mistake with me the first time. Again, D is absolutely wrong. That is not the right answer. They would make that mistake with me the first time rather than do it for the first time and make that mistake at school. Okay. By the way, when you plug in 1, square root 9 gives you 3. Answer should have been A as an apple. Okay. Sorry, I couldn't let that go unanswered. So those are the main things I really wanted to share for you guys tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I help kids for just like 2 minutes. But again, I really wanted to make sure that you get some kind of mock exam before your kid takes their first exam at school. Some kids have already started. Some kids are about to start. So this is the best time to not fall behind and to get ahead. Okay. Now, if your kid wanted to get ahead, by the way, this community I've found myself working with a bunch of teachers that like really want to be helpful. For example, Tim, love Tim. Okay. He's been meeting every Saturday and Sunday for free with kids at 1 o'clock to get ready for the August SAT. Like, what a guy. Okay. Super helpful person. Um, Dr. Choppy, Kelly, she's been meeting with kids to work on their Common App essay. Miriam's been doing physics on Sundays. Me and Anna have been doing some algebra and some trigonometry on Wednesday afternoons in the summer. And tonight, sorry, excuse me, tonight, Dr. K did some AP bio. Natalie did an ACT call, and then I'm trying to help you guys get ready for calculus. So working with a lot of teachers that want to be super helpful. Okay. Um, and so, the nice thing about being a high school teacher is I'm connected to so many teachers that do want to see kids be successful. And so feel free to message me. A lot of you guys are in a WhatsApp with me or in my Facebook group. Ask the questions. We're trying to be helpful. We want to be as helpful as we can. Okay. I don't want this to turn into like, come join my private tutoring thing. So I'm not going to really talk about that. I just wanted to make sure that you are aware that there are teachers trying to do things that are helpful. Okay. So as like a follow up to this, I'm going to put my cell phone in the chat. If you feel like your kid does want extra help, feel free to send me a message. And, not looking for you to purchase anything, just trying to be helpful. If you feel like your kid either wants to get ahead, wants extra resources, things like that, go ahead and grab my personal cell phone from the chat and message me with questions. I have parents text me all the time. I only will respond after 8 p.m. Eastern time typically, because I try to be away from my phone most of the day, but I typically work about 8 to 10 Eastern time. So feel free to message me with questions, or if you're in the Facebook group, or if you are in the WhatsApp, feel free to just message there as well. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cut the recording there. That way you guys can feel the freedom to ask questions. And, I'm not going to act like I have all the answers to everything, but hopefully I can be somewhat helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and go from here.